easily forget the complexity of the world. Everything runs as clockwork. So much so, one could even take its consistency for granted. Go to any major city in the world, and one could see pretty much the same thing. Smell the same thing. Hear the same thing. Take Tokyo. Have a listen. How about New York? Hong Kong, London, Paris, Abu Dhabi. The list goes on, but hear them together. You see, they are all the same. Something you probably didn't take notice of as you went about your days. The passing of traffic and the shouts of passers were nothing more than the birds of the rainforest. That was until the world just stopped. The cars stopped. The shouts stopped. The year is 2050. To the everyday civilian, one could only gossip as to the origins of the incident. The fight against climate change had been a failure on a global scale. The climate was catastrophically changing, leading to the rate of natural disasters to be destroying life as we know it. Many believe it was brought back on one of the recent expeditions in search of a new inhabitable planet. Others believe it was crafted as a chemical weapon to cope with the mounting territorial tension that was circulating around the possession of land in these new planets between the major global powers. Or was it an extraterrestrial nation finally making the big attack on our civilization? As people we've passed off as nutters and madmen have been warning us about for years. We will never know. All we know is that our world changed forever. Our horizons were suddenly restricted to no more than a box that we call a one-bedroom flat. And those four walls would become our world forever. At the announcement of the incident, a broadcasted radio message was sent out to the world. Its contents agreed by the 5 major powers. The message informed:
citizens must stay in their homes or risk amplifying the severity of the instant's effects. The instant will overwhelm you. The instant will destroy the morality of any human brain. A subject of the instant is no longer themselves. The subject of the instant is no longer human. Stay inside. Avoid being met with severe force from the establishment in response to breach of lock-in. Avoid the incident.
All citizens were forced into a lock-in. No one was allowed to leave their houses. The world went still. When the incident hit, it came without warning. Complete interruption, including the interruption of justice. The sentencing and judging of suspects were halted.
All citizens must lock in immediately. All criminals must exit from the 5th exit and await following instruction. All witnesses must exit by the 4th exit and await the following instructions.
If there ever was an example of a time where technology was the most dominant, this would be it. Both suspects and witnesses were locked in secure cell-like rooms with nothing but a camera and computer email with only one contact.
You must record your recollections of the crime and investigation. Crime identification number 2124365. Once recorded, press send and this computer will self-destruct.
An individual's fate, all lying in the hands of a 5-minute video. No way to argue, no way to justify. Many felt as though the initial stages of the Incidents Department of Justice scheme were an imprisonment in themselves. But at least at this stage, they still had hope. Once officers cleaning the streets, but now working in a similar format to a call center. Constables filtered through countless videos sent in by both witnesses and suspects, matching their crime identification numbers to the detectives assigned the judgment of that particular case. The severity of the crime was indicated by the crime identification number. These would be sorted by the now commonly nicknamed call center cops, who filtered the types of crimes to the experience level of the detective assigned the case. New detectives would be assigned the low-level petty crimes, something often laughed at by the more senior officers.
I said to Roy then, and I'll say it again, if he didn't want me to mow over his petunias, he shouldn't have tampered with my greenhouse.
The global powers had decided that in a world of isolation, what sort of punishment would serving a prison sentence really be? Every citizen on the planet was confined to the perimeters of one house. Why should they serve the same fate as a rapist, a murderer? The true treatment of the incident's effects was a mystery to everyone. Fighting the incident was simply slowing it down, but certainly not preventing it. They say that the life expectancy of an incident frontline worker was roughly 2 days. Thus, deemed the perfect destination for those found guilty. They swore that this wasn't the rebirth of capital punishment, a chance to make a difference. But we all knew the truth. After investigation from a detective who came up with as much of a final unveiling of the crime as possible, the suspect's information sheet was posted to Judgment Day, an online social media site in which, like a bitching teenage group chat, opinions were shared upon the fate of the suspect. It was now out of the hands of the detective and into the keyboards of an online jury, who voted on the verdict of the suspect. In no more depth than a Twitter poll, the question of life or death would be decided.